Soul Garden.
Good day from my smartphone to yours. I'm Lovecasting in 5 dimensions from Costa Mesa, California, and it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Good day and namaste, and welcome to Namaste today. My name is Christopher Watecki. I am a psychic astrologer and the Sensei to Serious Joy, here to stand in my heart and walk in the light. It's a pleasure to be of soul service. Thank you so much for logging in. This webisode is for Friday, October 9th, 2015. Yay, the wind kicked up there. And we have reached step 16 of Libra. In fact, this is going to be the turning point weekend. I think it'll be an interesting weekend for everyone, maybe in national stories, in personal stories. It may be when the scales tip, so to speak, and that's because each individual is going to be making their final decisions and commitments to their marriage. Now, you may also be at the same time making a commitment in a marriage or some sort of union or association with someone else. It's quite often, I always used to joke about it, but when you are up in front of the altar and you are committing in front of God that you're going to be there in a marriage, you're really committing to yourself in a marriage that you won't let yourself down with this person. Right? Like, that's really what the ceremony is. It's like, you're promising yourself that you will be a good boy to her. Right? Like, that's really where the promise is. So marriage is the same line, but really it's the marriage and it's a commitment. So here, just to lay it out, today, on Friday, we're intuiting where things really go. And we're going to talk about compromise today. Saturday is where you will decide what your marriage vows are. Sunday, you commit to your marriage vows, or you might get engaged to yourself, you might say, on Sunday. And then on Monday, it is the actual marriage ceremony, and it's light cast day. No coincidence. The most powerful day of the month to manifest. On step 19 day, I manifest day. So God Universe is not kidding around this year. We are creating a new relationship to ourselves. As far as I'm concerned, as far as Trump in the polls and national stuff, it all comes down to what people decide with themselves this weekend as to who they are to themselves this weekend. That's my personal Sensei opinion. Right? So let's move on to today's topic. Well, first, let's back up. We're talking about Libra this month. Okay? Now, remember, there are 12 states to being human consciousness, in human consciousness, 12 dimensions, if you will. Our emotional dimension, our subconscious dimension, our psychic dimension, okay? And there is our I receive. This is our Libra. This is our ability to know what's fair. So when you sense it's not full, or you sense it's not fair, that's your Libra. Your 6, your I sense, your step 6, all right? Your I receive, your compromise. It is what turns into justice. It is what turns into fairness. It's what we call our feminine side, okay? I'm making it really clear because it's a big sector of consciousness that we're debating here. And we have Mercury retrograde, but Mercury goes direct Saturday. So this is the last 24, 36 hours of processing who are we to ourselves. Anyways, who do we really want to be? The Mercury retrograde allows us to rethink the whole thing without fighting ourselves because we're in this other zone. And God, universe, have I been in the zone? Like, I've had the hardest time focusing in this one. So, given all that, today's topic is compromise. What about compromise? Are we supposed to compromise in a relationship? Everyone says you're supposed to compromise. What, Sensei to the Serious Joy, say you about compromise? Well, studying the planets and studying what looks to be the architecture of incarnation, I would say that we do and we do not compromise. And I would say that no matter what you ever ask God, the answer will be yes and no both. And that's the nature of the universe for the question. However, I would say that in the best architecture of serious joy, okay, compromise comes at a certain time and place. And that's really where the question is, when do we compromise? When? Well, let me ask you a couple other questions before I ask you that. right now, this is a weekend show, so I go a little deeper for you so you can do some soul work, and I'm starting to get real clarity on what my show is, which is I think I'm just this show that helps people deal with their consciousness every day, right? Like, and there's nothing in America anyways that's helping us deal with our consciousness. We're not looking at it, we're not exploring it, we're not growing as a result. So I'm realizing. So I think putting out questions. So find a solution, find a problem in your life right now. So I want you to find a problem in your life. You're having a problem with this person, a neighbor, a job, this, that, something where you feel it's out of balance, okay? Find that situation and ask yourself these questions. First of all, what is the most fair solution to me? So in whatever you're debating, forget them. What's most fair to you? What would be most fair to you? Ask yourself that and answer it. What would be most fair to you? Then ask, what would be most fair solution to my heart? And you're going to probably find that your heart has a different answer than to me. So ask the to me and then ask the to heart. Because usually I find the heart's actually more forgiving than the me. Something about the me has ego in it, I think, is why. And in the way it triggers our consciousness. And then here's a question that's on a whole different paradigm. Let's assume everything is fair. Let's assume everything is going perfect. Okay? Where in life are you afraid of being unfair? Where are you afraid of being unfair to others? Probably. Well, I just gave away part of my answer. Oh. Let me answer these myself. What is the most fair solution to me? Well, I have to think about a situation in my life, but the most fair solution to me always, I'll just say this, I don't have anything specific to answer right now, but I will say that when I answer that question, usually whatever is most fair to me is fair to others too. So I should just be fair to me. Because if I'm fair to me, I've found I'm always fair to others. My issue is not being fair to me. So I have to look to be, that's why I pose that question, is to help you guys with that. And then what's fair to my heart? Well, in situations where you try to draw lines, like I'm in situations in business where it's like, where do we price things? When do we charge? When do we refund? It's like, oh gosh, it's like, I'll just say in business and stuff, it's like I always bring it down to my heart. It's like, what does my heart want? And usually my heart is very much more giving and forgiving and more generous than my mind was for my business. But the point is that we're trying to understand when and when not to compromise. Okay? And so the truth is like, if you're not getting what's fair to your heart, all right, if you're not getting what's fair to you in the solution, you should never be compromising. If at the end of the day it's unfair, you should not be compromising. It's unfair. Why are you compromising? Here's my point as Sensei. I believe that we should only be willing to compromise when we are asking for something that is unfair, which is my final question. Where am I afraid of being unfair? I don't know. Part of me is afraid of people thinking that my success is unfair, sometimes, like that success would be unfair. Like I'm afraid of, tipping the scales all the time, like in lots of places. And so in that capacity, it's like, well, what are you willing to compromise then, Chris? Like, since you're thinking of, so that's where I think we compromise is my point. In this work retrograde, is that if we're ever going to compromise, it's because we're asking for something that's unfair to begin with. So of course we will compromise because that's fair, right? But if you're not in a situation that's asking for something unfair, well then I think you're not dealing with a fair deck to begin with. And if you're not dealing with a fair deck to begin with, you should never be compromising. So over the weekend, it's time for us all to commit to our marriage vows, to what we believe is good for us, to what we believe is fair, when we won't compromise. My advice as Sensei is you don't compromise to the self ever, because you got to live with yourself when you die. That's why. And you got to go over all that Akashic record videotape when you're in heaven. Like, whoop, hey, what were you thinking here, Christopher? It's like, oh. I don't think there's any purgatory or anything. I just think they make you watch with popcorn. And you're just like, oh, Lord, what was I thinking there? Like, I think it's just people's own spiritual shame. Because I know universally, you talk to any person that's died, come back, blah, blah, there is a review of your life. First thing you do when you cross over, whatever. And so it's like, you're going to see all those moments where you're unfair to yourself. You're going to see all those moments when you were unfair to others. It's like, who's the judger? You are, because next time you get down on the interaction, you're not going to, you probably won't want it to be that way. I think we have more capacity to be flexible with others when we are 100% fair with ourselves. Okay? Take that to the bank. If you can't be flexible with others, you're not being flexible with yourself. You're not being fair to yourself. You're not giving to yourself somewhere that you need to give to yourself. That's why you're so damn stubborn in the outer world. That's why you're holding on to yourself. So people who don't let go and compromise in the world are so uncompromised. They're not getting what their heart wants. They're not getting what's fair. They're feeling compromised in life, walking out the door, and that's their mirage and only under their control. So you see how it affects every marriage you have when your own mirage is screwed up in that sort of way. So my advice is don't compromise the self. It's a windy day here. So without further ado, let's log into my higher self. Cue wind machine and see what my guides have to say about this fabulous weekend. Interesting. They take me to Venus. Very interesting. And Venus is at step 0 Virgo. And so we have actually, we have a stellium basically going on, at least this morning, Friday morning, where the moon has crossed Venus for Love Fest Day yesterday. Then it crossed Mars, so it was like Love Fest, and then maybe we got a little Randy there. And now the moon is heading for Jupiter. All right, so we have these 3 nodes. Now Venus has crossed over at step 0, so in other words, you must define and hold space for where you will receive, okay? And this this is how it has to be. Like you have to say, I want this, make sure I get this. You have to tell the universe, I want to get paid for that, I want to get this. If you don't consciously tell the universe that you intend to receive, you won't, okay? Or you might get stuff that spills over into your trick-or-treat bag, but it's not going to be, there you go, okay? So you must hold space. Holding space means you protect your seat on the bus, you protect your place in line, you protect your place in the company, you speak up. Okay, like these are all important interactions with reality to protect where you're going to get yours. And the competition does that. They protect where they get theirs. That's the first thing they're worried about is where's the paycheck. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so what happens is that we are feeling very real. We're feeling very gritty over the weekend, so I'm feeling. And so the Venus is like, first of all, with Venus, this is interesting that comes up. The question is, well, what are you going to allow yourself to feel? What are you going to allow yourself to receive? What feelings are you going to pay attention to? What feelings are you not going to pay attention to? And that's what it comes down to. So there is that. And then there is what parts are you going to let you drive yourself? So a lot of this is, again, what do you allow? What do you open up to or not open up to in reality? What details do you allow yourself to be affected by or not allow yourself to be affected by? This is actually the final programming of the reality as we lead to Lightcast Day on Monday, which is technically the new mirage, like I said, right? That's the way it will be. Now, Jupiter is in Virgo for the whole year, so we're creating this whole new reality for the whole year. We're only working on our mirage right now, even though we create this whole reality. So we're doing the brunt of our reality making right now and over this weekend by the way we tell life should treat us, by the way we treat ourselves. And with the moon crossing Virgo, we're doing the brunt of how life will be and what we believe it will be by the end of this weekend. So the life that comes in Scorpio, Sag, and Capricorn in a few months is all based on this moment. FYI, okay? Mercury's at step 0 also, so that's the other thing. So that's something that came to me as on my way to the set, if you will, the garden set, is that this 0 energy means you must be very, very clear about what is and is not in your mirage. So I will or will not treat myself this way. I will or will not allow this in my life. I will or will not allow this to be. Your mirage vows must all be defined, and it comes down to a boundary of yes or no. Okay? You must, and it's all about what's fair to you. It's all about how you want to receive. And if you don't leave space in your mirage for this, if it's not in your constitution, that's another way of looking at your mirage, is your own constitution. What's your constitution? What are your Bill of Rights? What's the way going to be? No matter whatever man you marry. Most of my clients have married up to 3 people now. You know what I mean? Like, that's our new life in our modern age. So it's like, what's the constitution that's going to be true no matter what person you're married to? Right? Because you're always married to, you're always married to you. Right? So we're making these vows, and like these vows are black and white, and they are this weekend, and they should be thought through. And as far as where's the conscious work, Christopher, the conscious work is in that you think through it and you decide with your heart and go, yeah, that's where I stand. Yeah, that's where I stand. If you say that's where I stand, you're creating life and consciousness. If you're awake and conscious and say to yourself, this is where I stand and so it is, reality is following. It's that simple, okay? We only used to do things with fire and brimstone just to like impress people. Like, you know what I mean? I think like the old days. Okay, so Black Lilith, this comes to mind. So the mind, basically, this is the other thing that they want to get through too. We're at 14 minutes. I'm going to wrap up here for the weekend forecast. But it's a powerful weekend. But it's very, very important. And Black Lilith has moved to step 5. That means that our mind is harboring our fears now, our mind. Now, the way the mind works is by association. So it's like, you can say sad, and it's like you think of your dad. It's like it rhymes, it associates. There's a lot of associates, and that's obviously one of mine. Freudians is like dad, sad, but it's true. In my childhood, the two words went together. So these types of things that come together, it's like you must decide in the new marriage. Like, do we even allow that in our mental space? Do we even go there anymore? Do we allow ourselves to even think about this anymore? Because, true healing is that it doesn't even come up. True healing isn't like, we're sick and we're healed now. True healing is, we didn't even think about it. What? That's healing, right? So now it's time to say, hey, if it's over, it's over. Draw a line, draw a circle around, draw step 0 around. It's like, boom, this is just not going to be in our mind anymore. These won't be in our thoughts anymore. This doesn't represent the new mirage. And to be very clear, as the moon is crossing through all these details, we're basically having them all come up on our face. So everything that drives you crazy through the weekend, it's not God driving you crazy. It's not life driving you crazy. It's your final vote. Is that your final answer? Remember that game show on NBC? Is that your final answer? Because these coming up in your life is basically the final answer as far as spirituality is concerned. You'll see next week, it's not about this. It's about other things because Mercury goes direct on Saturday. So just to reiterate, you decide what you will do for yourself on Saturday. You put it into action on Sunday. It becomes reality on Monday. Mercury is now moving full speed by Monday, and business on Earth takes a new interesting wind by Tuesday. It's going to be an interesting time. All right. That's all I have for your weekend forecast. So grateful to be of soul service. Hey, come on down to soulgarden.tv. I have a new personal Sensei service that's coming out soon. It's been part of why I haven't been blogging. Someone asked, Chris, why aren't you blogging? I missed this part of you. Honestly, I've been so preoccupied, guys. I have an amazing service coming out. I don't want to sell it before it's done or working properly, but I will say it is so amazing and it's taking up a lot of my time, and we're very close to it. So once that is complete, you'll find that that I am a bit more active in my blogs and whatnot, and sharing more information. But if you want to be alerted of when my service comes out, come on down to soulgarden.tv, click on Serious Joy, that's Mercury retrograde there, and you'll see you can sign up there for our email list. We'll let you know. There's going to be an interesting aspect to this, that even if people don't keep the service, they'll want to at least try for 99 cents, because there's a part of the service that stays forever if you want. So it's cool. We'll talk more about it. Have a great weekend. Good luck in your marriage vows. Have a good marriage ceremony on Sunday. And I will see you on Monday for more. Remember, I love you, and live love be.
So